The sun beat down on the cracked streets of Lagos as Chimamanda adjusted the worn strap of her duffel bag. The airport loomed ahead, its bustle a sharp contrast to the quiet resignation in her chest. At 22, with a second-class upper degree in business administration and a mother battling diabetes back home in Enugu, life had cornered her into choices she once swore she'd never consider. China, a country she had only known from Instagram reels and whispered rumors of opportunity. It hadn't been easy getting the domestic work visa. Agencies took their cut, trained her, warned her, then shipped her off like another cargo of dreams. She wasn't alone on the flight. 8 other Nigerian women clutched their Bibles and dreams, speaking in hushed tones. But Amanda had never felt more alone. Her employer lived in a glittering high-rise in Guangzhou, a family old as money and proud as gods. The Leaf family ran a conglomerate that touched everything from technology to textiles. Amanda was introduced to her role by Madam who, a cold woman with clipped English and eyes that scanned like X-rays. You clean. You stay quiet, and you do not speak unless being spoken to. There were 5 other maids, Chinese and Filipino women, who barely acknowledged her. She wasn't surprised. Even among the help, you were going to be ranked by color. Amanda never thought anyone was going to see her or even want to go anywhere near her. But he noticed her. Li Wei, the second son. He was 25 years old and very soft-spoken. He also studied abroad. He didn't live with the family full-time, but whenever he visited, Amanda noticed the air shifted. He asked her questions, not about chores or cleaning, but about Nigeria, about her family, her dreams. The first time he called her Miss Amanda, her heart skipped. No one had addressed her with such gentleness in months. It started with conversations, then moved on to lingering gazes, then to secret rendezvous meetings in the garden at night. Li Wei told her about the pressure of being second, never enough to lead, never allowed to outshine the first, always expected to follow, but at the same time, he has to never taint the family reputation. In essence, he was being told to do nothing but, at the same time, do everything. She told him about her mother, about the jobs she applied for in Lagos that never called back. He looked at her like she was a novel he wanted to memorize as she spoke. And then, that night, they kissed. It was an accident, but it turned into a full-blown, passionate kiss. The affair bloomed in the shadows. Li Wei brought her books, smuggled her mooncakes during the Mid-Autumn Festival, even helped her apply for online business courses at night. But nothing stays hidden in a house full of eyes. Madam who saw the change. She saw the softness in Wei's eyes and how he followed her movements everywhere. One evening, she summoned Amanda to the back kitchen. Without a word, she slapped her. You think you can seduce my son with your skin and foreign pity? Her Mandarin was fast, but the venom needed no translation. I let you in to clean my floors, not to spread your dirty legs. Don't you have any shame? Amanda stood, stunned and trembling. She didn't know how to explain. She could only beg and ask for mercy. Madam who waited, she acted like she had forgiven Amanda, but she bid her time. Li Wei left on a business trip, and that was when she got her chance. Madam who set the stage, money missing from the drawer, and a few jewelry gone. The police were called and Amanda was dragged out in front of the staff, labeled a thief, her screams drowned in Mandarin. The jewelry and money were found in her bag. She was beaten mercilessly, wounds on every inch of her body. Nowhere was spared. Then she was deported. Wei returned 2 days later to find her gone. His mother lied to him, saying, "She tried to use you. She stole from us. You should thank me for saving your future." Wei didn't believe it. So he called whoever he could call. He even tried contacting the embassy. But Amanda was already back in Nigeria, curled in her room in Enugu, weeping into a pillow. For months passed, and Amanda came back home one evening with a pale face and a hospital report in hand. She was pregnant. She couldn't tell her mother the truth. She told everyone that her job didn't work out, that she returned for better options. But her belly said otherwise. Months rolled into struggle. She sold handmade soaps online, tutored kids in math, and walked to the clinic for checkups. And then, on a rainy August morning, she gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. Amber-skinned, with curly black hair and almond-shaped eyes. Shinonso and Amaka. She looked at them and cried. Not from fear, but because love, real love, had come back through them. 6 years quickly passed. Amanda was no longer the timid girl who had flown across continents. She was now stranger. Years of motherhood shaped her. She had mastered the art of surviving with grace. By 28, Amanda had clawed her way back to something close to normal. She had a decent apartment in Abuja, a steady job at AgriNova, one of the fastest-growing agritech startups in Nigeria. Her Mandarin, polished through night classes and stubborn memory, had unexpectedly come in handy with Asian investors. She wasn't just working, she was rising. And even if every success felt like stitching over an old wound, she smiled through it. She had to, for her children, even if no one else knew the full story. An email came on a quiet Monday, tucked between client briefs and calendar invites. Subject: Confidential. AgriNova Acquisition Notice. Dear team, we are pleased to announce the upcoming acquisition of AgriNova by Li International Holdings, a global business conglomerate headquartered in Guangzhou, China. This transition marks an exciting new phase for the company. Amanda's breath caught. Her screen blurred. Li. It was a name she hadn't spoken in years. One she had buried with fists clenched and eyes red from crying in empty rooms. Her heart beat faster. It couldn't be him. There were many Lees in China. This didn't have to mean anything. But fate rarely lets go so easily. 2 weeks later, at the global virtual integration meeting, she saw him. Li Wei. There he was, in crisp black and white, his hair longer, voice deeper, but still unmistakably him. Head of West African Strategy. He spoke with confidence and fluency, the Mandarin threading seamlessly with his English. He smiled as he discussed long-term growth, but Amanda didn't hear a word. She was frozen. Her hand hovered over the laptop like it could block the screen. It was him. After all these years. She turned her camera off and left the meeting early. She didn't even know why her eyes burned. As she slept that night, the memories that she had fought so hard to lock started coming back. She remembered it all. And she cried, locked up in her room, not allowing her children to hear. She cried up until morning. 3 days later, AgriNova hosted a private company retreat in Lagos. Amanda almost didn't go. But she couldn't run forever. Her job mattered. She had mouths to feed, a future to protect. The conference was held at a waterfront hotel. It was polished and grand, everything Amanda had once cleaned and never entered. And he was there, walking across the marble lobby like time hadn't broken anything. Her stomach twisted. She made it through most of the day by avoiding him. But just as she slipped out during a break, a familiar voice stopped her. Amanda. She froze. He stood in the corridor, staring at her like she was a ghost. Amanda. Chimamanda? His voice cracked on her name. She turned slowly. Their eyes locked. 6 years of silence echoed between them. You're here, he whispered. I am, she replied, her voice flat. You look different. She forced a smile. Timed as that. There was a pause. He stepped closer. I thought you disappeared. She cut in, her tone sharp but calm. You did too. Li Wei looked like he wanted to say something, but she stepped back. I didn't disappear, she added. I just stopped waiting. His face crumpled slightly. Amanda, please. Let me explain. I didn't ask you to, she said, her voice low and bitter. Whatever you have to say, it's 6 years late. He was quiet, and for a brief second, Amanda almost softened. But then she remembered the feeling of steel cuffs on her wrists, the stares of airport guards, and the cold sting of being called a thief in a country where she had no voice. So she turned and walked away. But she didn't sleep that night. She kept seeing his face, the regret in his eyes and the warmth that hadn't changed. And worse, how her heart still knew the rhythm of his presence. She hated that. She hated that no matter how hard she worked, she still carried the story of him. What he didn't know, what he couldn't know yet, was that she hadn't left alone. If he found out about it, she didn't know what she would do. He would take them away from her. For weeks after the Lagos retreat, Amanda avoided him. She buried herself in work, dodged meetings where his name was on the agenda, and conveniently missed the calls from the international team. Even when Li Wei emailed her, short, careful messages that read more like apologies than official correspondence, she didn't reply. She told herself it was for the best. Her life had finally found balance. The twins were thriving in school. She had a stable job, a routine, a purpose. Why reopen a wound that nearly killed her? But some ghosts don't need permission to reappear. It was on a cloudy Thursday that it happened. She had been called to represent her team at the new project launch in Abuja. Amanda hesitated, but the company had grown smaller since the acquisition, and turning down opportunities raised eyebrows. She wore a sharp navy pantsuit. Her curls were pinned up. She looked every inch the professional woman she had fought to become. But the moment she stepped into the boardroom, she felt it. That shift in the air. He was there. Li Wei, standing beside the country director, smiling like the years hadn't passed. His gaze caught hers. For a second, everything else melted. It was just him and her. He didn't look away, and neither did she. The presentation was smooth, but Amanda's mind was a storm. As soon as the final slide clicked, she turned to leave, until a gentle hand caught her wrist. "Amanda, please." She exhaled sharply, turning to face him. "You need to stop doing this," Amanda said, but her tone was more pleading. "I just want to talk." Li Wei pressed on. "I don't," Amanda murmured. "You don't even know what I do," she snapped, her voice quiet but cold. "You want to apologize. You want to fix something that was broken by your silence. But it doesn't work that way, Li Wei." He blinked. No one had said his full name like that in years. "I didn't know what happened to you," he said. "I swear to you, Amanda. I came back, and you were gone. My mother lied. She showed me police reports. She made it look like you had. Like I was a criminal." She finished, "A gold digger. A maid with an agenda. Isn't that what you believed?" "No," he said almost too loudly. A few heads turned, but he didn't care. "I didn't. Not for a second. That's why I searched. I went to Nigeria twice. But they said you left no records. I had no name, no contact. There was nothing. You had my heart," she said bitterly, eyes stinging. "And when I needed you the most, you weren't there." He looked wounded. "Amanda, I didn't stop thinking about you. Not even once." "Well, congratulations," she whispered. "I didn't stop surviving." They stood there for a moment, two people on opposite shores of the same storm. Then she stepped away. "I moved on," she said, voice trembling but firm. "I don't need explanations. I don't want to be part of your guilt tour. And whatever it is you think we had, it died the day I boarded that deportation flight." But she didn't sleep that night. Again. She lay awake, watching the ceiling of her modest apartment, listening to the steady breathing of her children in the next room. She hadn't told them about him. She didn't plan to. Still, something about seeing him again had stirred a restlessness she couldn't shake. The man she once loved was still inside him, buried beneath corporate polish and time. And that man was looking for her. Meanwhile, Wei was unraveling. He stayed an extra week in Abuja, visited every floor of Agrinova's Nigerian branch under the guise of integration, but all he really wanted was to see her again.
Talk again. Just do something.
He didn't understand it. Why had fate dragged her back into his orbit only to make her colder than winter? What was she hiding? He started asking subtle questions about her role, her background, and where she lived. But Amanda had covered her tracks well. She'd become careful, professional, private. Except one afternoon, he caught a glimpse of something strange. He had stayed behind after meeting with HR and stepped out into the parking lot. Just then he saw Amanda. She was across the street, smiling wide, wider than he'd seen her smile in years, as she knelt down beside two children waiting by a tricycle. A boy and a girl, about 5 or 6. The little girl had her mother's curls, the boy had his father's eyes. His eyes. Wei's heart stopped. He didn't move and didn't breathe. Amanda scooped both children into her arms. The boy kissed her cheek, and the girl tugged her hand. Then they turned and disappeared down the street. He stood there for what felt like hours. His mind raced. He didn't know. He couldn't be sure. But deep down, something inside him screamed, "They're mine." Li Wei couldn't sleep. The image haunted him, the way the little boy squinted against the sun with his brows furrowed exactly like his, the curve of the girl's cheekbones, Amanda's laughter as she scooped them up with both arms. He wasn't stupid, he did the math. 6 years. 6 years since Amanda was deported. 6 years since he'd seen her. The twins looked no older than that. He couldn't ignore it anymore. The next day, Wei sat in his hotel suite with his laptop open, searching through company files, scanning for any hint of Amanda's personal records. She was good, too good. Her address, background, and family information had been carefully edited or left blank. But he was relentless. He started visiting the AgriNova site under staff bonding pretense. Sat with team leads. Took special interest in departments Amanda had worked in. Slowly, subtly, he gathered fragments. One lunch break, a junior staff member casually said, "You know, Miss Amanda's kids are adorable. Sometimes she brings them during late shifts, twins actually.
Girl and boy.
So well-mannered."
Twins.
Wei smiled politely, nodded, and excused himself. His hands shook the moment he stepped outside. Meanwhile, Amanda could feel it. The walls were closing in. She noticed the way Wei lingered in doorways. The way he watched her when he thought she wasn't looking. He had stopped trying to talk, but that scared her even more. He was thinking, and when Li Wei started thinking, he was dangerous. At home, Chijiok and Adiz were their usual bubbly selves, but Amanda found herself triple-checking the locks, telling the nanny not to answer the door to strangers, and scanning every email twice. She had worked too hard for this piece. He couldn't take it away. She wouldn't let him. But fate has a cruel sense of timing. One Friday afternoon, Amanda had to attend an emergency supplier briefing at a satellite office. Her nanny canceled last minute, and the only option was to bring the kids with her for a few hours, keep them in the playroom near reception until she finished. It was supposed to be simple, but when Amanda returned, the front desk was unusually quiet. "Where are my kids?" she asked, heart pounding. The receptionist smiled. "Oh, they're in the conference lounge. One of the international reps was here, Mr. Wei. He said he recognized them and offered to wait with them." Amanda dropped her bag. She bolted through the hall like fire lived in her lungs. And there they were. Li Wei, sitting on the floor of the empty conference room, Chijiok curled against his side with a toy plane in hand, Adiz laughing as he helped her adjust a tiara made from paper. He looked up, their eyes met, and everything froze. Amanda's chest rose and fell rapidly. "Li Wei," Amanda murmured, her body trembling violently. "Why did you bring them here? What do you want with them?" Amanda had gone pale, her teeth clattering. It was as if someone had poured a bucket of cold water on her. "I saw the kids and felt like they looked very familiar. They both look like you. They have your hair and nose." While Li Wei trailed off for a moment before continuing, "They have my eyes and lips."